My name is Joel Solomon, and I invest in growth stage companies that I think make a difference to the future. Polycystic kidney disease is in my family's bloodline. It was fatal until several decades ago when the crude tool of dialysis was invented. Multiple cysts grow on the kidneys until they can no longer clean toxins from the blood. Dialysis is an artificial mechanical tool which enables the blood to be cleaned while strapped to a machine for hours, multiple times a week. Transplants came later, and they enable a living person or a recently deceased person, to have one of their kidneys removed and placed into the body of the recipient. When they're successful, everything works again. The toxins are removed from the blood. A lot of people in my family died from this disease. I watched my father die of it at age 63, and he was the oldest that we know of in our family. I was diagnosed with the disease in my early 20s. And when it happened, the doctors told me that I might die very soon or I could live a long time, and there was really nothing I could do to change that. I came from money. My father made a lot of it building shopping malls. He was a pioneer in his field back in the 60s. He saw it as a kind of social innovation or social change in his time, because as a Jewish man in Tennessee in the 1950s and 60s, the downtown business world was really closed to him. By finding farmland on highway interchanges and building a shopping center, he was able to work with national chain store tenants with their more open policies, racially and ethnically, about hiring and ownership. I think that he did the best he could with what he knew and had in his time. I came of age in the 60s. I see a few of you who still can remember that was a time of radical shift of consciousness. Every institution and societal norm was being examined. Joni Mitchell actually laid a little pain onto me with a very beautiful sounding song, and she said, "They paved paradise and they put up a parking lot." I was starting to get a bit uneasy and wonder if maybe my family's money and profession was dirty. And like others, I was questioning everything at the time. I tried politics first, and I got lucky. A one-term former governor invited me to join his presidential campaign. Before I reached the age of 22, Jimmy Carter was elected to the White House. But that's when I was diagnosed with polycystic kidney disease. I ran away, seeking to understand what my life was to be for and what's my purpose. First, I found my way to an organic gardening training institute in Northern California. And there I got exposed to natural systems thinking, to feeding the soil, and to growing food, flowers, and medicinal plants. And that began to open my perspectives. A bit later, I was lucky again, and I found myself to the coastal wilderness of British Columbia. I ended up in a position caretaking a killer whale research laboratory. My job at the time, after almost making it to the White House, was to feed the dogs, don't burn down the house, and turn the tape recorder on when the orcas came by. And that's because people were starting to figure out orcas by their name, their vocalization as an individual, and also beginning to break down their communication and what that might mean. I'm not sure if they really know, but nevertheless. I rolled boulders up the beach to the high tide line and soil from the forest to make gardens. I was an avid forager. Everything from pulling a 3-foot lingcod on a hand line into a 2-hole kayak, eating almost everything on the beach at least once, and figuring out all the berries and mushrooms in the forest that I could eat. It was probably first the logging company's plans to clear-cut what had become my island paradise. But then it was my father's death that really pushed me back into modern times. I cut my hair. It was fairly long. I shaved my beard. It was big. I bought a suit, not this one, and I bought a Saab. With my blood full of wilderness, natural systems, gardens, and wildcrafting, and silence, I returned to deal with my family's business. That meant, for me, dealing with money and how I was going to deal with its bloodlines. I began to see the relation between our need for clean blood, all of us, and my longing and inquiry about what was cleaner money. Money needs to be as good as it can be so that people, commerce, and communities can thrive. I was lucky to know that I would die. By the way, every single one of you is going to also, in case you forgot. Everyone around me, close to me, assumed that I would die young because I was living on borrowed time. Why not use that borrowing to invest in something that really mattered, that I believed in, that could contribute to the future? I committed myself to bring my privilege and my lineage into alignment and into the study of making money while aligning with my values. My career is as a social venture capitalist. I invest in visionary entrepreneurs. I've worked in business, social sectors, and politics, doing the very best that I know how with what I have in my time. Renewal is the name of our investment business, and Interdependent is the name of my family holding company. I believe that we are on the verge of a massive renewal in how we understand money. And I know that we're all interdependent, simply part of a whole. There is an enormous, unbelievable amount of money in the world. I know you're thinking about maybe wanting some of it or whether you have it or not, but I'm here to tell you that money is expanding right now as we continue to figure out how to exploit more things, particularly attention. There's enough money to solve major global problems like poverty and climate change. I'm not sure about asteroids or spyware, but probably that too. No matter how much or how little each of us has, what we do with it is somewhere an expression of what we care about and our beliefs about the world. Naturally and understandably, all of us want to have enough. My suggestion, and something that I make myself do, is on a regular basis, periodic basis, to remember to consider how much is enough? Inquiry into that question can lead us to a different kind of clarity and get off of a certain compulsion. Now that science has made clear that we are all responsible collectively for the well-being of the entire planet, we know that we must do our part. So we can choose, to some degree, where we work. We all can choose where we shop. We can choose what we buy, who we buy it from, who made it, where they made it, and what the impact was of how it was made. We also choose our politicians. Now, how did I segue to politics? I'll just say that they create the policies that govern our communities and nations, and they set the ground rules and the incentives for how we each earn, shop, and invest. It might be debatable, but I don't think there's anything inherently wrong with business, capitalism, or politics. It's all about the values and purpose that we put into them. Why not have money be more life-giving? Let's use our money to create conditions for more hope, inspiration, and love. Because beneath it all, love is the true nutrient. It's 2007. I'm being wheeled into the operating room at St. Paul's Hospital in Vancouver, a few blocks away from here. That happens to be one of the most sacred places in my life. I've left my anxious family behind in the waiting room. I'm happy a couple of them are here today with me. The nice doctor has marked a big X on my belly. My dear friend Siobhan has spent the morning in the operating room cut open, with one of her kidneys being removed. The kidney is sitting on a bed of ice in the operating room. The surgeon's having a bowl of soup while he takes a break. He had done 2,500 of these when I went in. I'm getting ready because I'm about to borrow big time from the real bank, the bank of love. Another nice man says, slowly after me, count backwards from 10. It worked, and Siobhan's doing well too. Every one of us has unimaginable potential. Okay, now I have to put in a plug. British Columbia is the lowest in Canada percentage, at about 10% of those of us who've gone online to donate our organs upon death. Something like 7 or 9 people can live from each of our bodies. Please go online and sign up. Maybe during the next break, and we'll see if we can get a surge going. Every one of us has unimaginable potential to create change. Miracles really can happen. I've spent every day of my life, or I do now spend every day of my life, working to create smarter, wiser tools, supporting innovative entrepreneurs, and working extra hard to develop financial products which enable more of us to sleep well at night, knowing where our money is and what it's doing. I've directed over $100 million at this point, and I believe that I'm influencing billions. We're all living on borrowed time, on borrowed land, and we're borrowing from the past But most of all, we are borrowing heavily from the future. We can each start again today making choices that reveal our deepest dreams. We can choose what to do with our money in a lot of ways. You can think them through. We do this because we stand on the shoulders of generations of people who came before us and worked hard to be sure that we have the opportunities that we have today. Future generations are watching us. They're really curious what we're going to do with this particular time in history and all the incredible potential that we have. They're watching us right this minute. I'm not talking about Santa Claus. I'm talking about our children's children's children. Boy, is it good to be alive. Thank you.